Welcome to the channel, guys. So Microsoft is gunning up to be an RPG powerhouse. Like this video, welcome to Sweshi Gaming, and leave a comment below. So the Xbox One generation has been met with a lot of critique, particularly in the caliber and quality of Xbox first party games, and to some degree I completely understand why. I mean, Sony has been releasing highly rated games for a while now, from God of War winning Game of the Year, Uncharted, if you think about Horizon Zero Dawn and the upcoming Forbidden West, there's lots of high expectations. The Last of Us, Ghost of Tsushima, they've got a lot of highly rated games. That's not to say the Xbox hasn't done well in this generation. In fact, I think the Xbox team has done a decent job. The main problem is really because they rely mostly on the same franchises. They've invested in newer IP, but it has not worked out as well as in the 360 generation. So games like Ori and the Blind Forest are exceptional few, but there've been some good games. Quantum Break, I think, was good, but again, it was not the 10 out of 10 that people want to compare with God of War. You know, people always talk about Rise, Son of Rome. We want that kind of graphical fidelity, but again, it's not the 10 out of 10 that we can compare with a number of other Sony games. I find that the Microsoft Xbox game studios now have been quite diligent in producing shooter games. If you think about the Master Chief Collections, Halo 5, anything to do with multiplayer, really, they've done a good job. Gears 4, Gears 5, Gears 5 particularly, really good games. So in terms of shooters, Sony itself is lacking in that arena. It's just that the internet is kind of, well, they push the narrative on Sony's exclusives most of the time, right? So there's no way you find people criticizing the lack of shooter games, whether first or third person shooter games on the Sony exclusives, right? So you have a lot of shooters over on the Xbox family. The upcoming Crossfire X from Remedy is also something that is going to be interesting. But we also have quite a number of games in the RTS genre. We've got Halo Wars, you know, Gears Tactics, the upcoming Age of Empires. Again, you don't really find that type of game on the Sony platform. So it's just something that I sometimes think about. And when we come to talk about racing, Gran Turismo used to be the racing game, at least in the simulation genre, that really stood out. In fact, the Forza team, Turn 10, was created in response to Gran Turismo, right? But this generation, racing has been home at Xbox. Forza, both the Motorsport and the Horizon game, have won top podium from Forza Motorsport 5, right? Forza Motorsport 6, Forza Motorsport 7, Horizon 2, Horizon 3, Horizon 4, all highly regarded, right? Most of those games really scored well, even with Metacritic. I think Forza Horizon 4 has been the highest rated racing game of this generation. So they've done a great job, and I think this will continue even going forward. Now, Microsoft knows that they are lacking in genres, particularly in the RPG side of things, and they seem to be very aware of that, and they have done a great job with the studios that they have acquired to be able to pull up something for this coming generation. So first up, it's been brilliant that Playground Games, the home of Forza Motorsport, has been given the mantle to carry the Fable RPG. This is because Forza, the world that they create in Forza Horizon is always amazing. It's always great, and those are really large worlds, because you're driving, and as you're driving, pass through the areas much more quickly. So they have to create really bigger worlds so that you can do that. But for something like an RPG, especially if you have lots, if they set it back in time, where you're actually not driving fast, you're walking around. So the world has to be it has to have a little bit more detail. It has to have things that are more attractive as you walk along, because you're not passing through the environment quite as fast. But I think the Forza team has got the caliber. They completely have the caliber. If we look at the Forza Horizon 4 weather system, and everybody keeps talking about that, this is what everyone is excited about. Like, if they can deliver Fable with that weather transitioning, where you have summer, autumn, winter, right, it can definitely be something with a graphical showcase, right? And we all know that they've been hiring the so-called St. Albion's House, which is the second team that Playground Games has been hiring. Over on their Twitter page, they keep posting more employees joining the RPG team, right? So it's been acquiring for almost 2 years now, so we are very, very hopeful for what is coming up. So I've got lots of high hopes for Fable. Okay, another front there is with InExile, right? InExile was acquired by Microsoft about 2 years ago now, and they're just about to drop Wasteland 3. So InExile is known just for RPGs, and Microsoft bought InExile for RPGs. These guys, together with some of the employees at Obsidian, actually worked on one of the highest rated Fallout games, Fallout Vegas, right? They are definitely going to deliver something. They have confirmed that they are working on a new AAA RPG that's set in Unreal Engine 5. This is probably still too early for us to see anything, but Unreal Engine 5 looks awesome. It looks amazing, and I can't wait to see what these guys will do, because they definitely have the creative caliber to pull up some jaw-dropping experiences. Then, of course, something that most people are not sure about is whether Rare's Everwild is actually going to have some role-playing game elements. The actual gameplay, or rather not even gameplay, the trailers that we've seen have been beautiful. If you just see the art style, the world that they've created, the animals in the scenery, those things look very, very well created. Now, this game is also a way out, a long way out. In fact, the team at Rare mentioned that they're still not even sure what you'll be doing in the game. They are still playing around to figure out what gameplay mechanics will work best, right? This game reminds me of Avatar: The Last Airbender. It looks like there's some sort of spirituality, some need for balance, the animals, the environment itself, and the characters look like they definitely have some heritage that they're trying to keep. So I really can't wait to see what this is going to be about, but we need to give them as much time as possible. Sea of Thieves is great now, but it did not launch well, right? It's got 15 million players now, but when it launched, well, people didn't say a whole lot of good things about it, and this has been a problem with most Microsoft games this generation. State of Decay, Scale, which this Crackdown 3 game, they didn't launch well, right? This is part of the reason even Grounded, even though it's in early access, it's getting some critique. Yeah, Microsoft needs to also aim for high scores, right? They need to aim to have games that launch with really high score, generally accepted critically, right? So we need to give Everwild time. Everwild needs to be fully baked, fully polished when it releases, so that it has high scores. High scores will mean it will get more attention. More attention means it will have more sales, and more sales means that the image of the Xbox brand will definitely stand out. So I'm not in the idea of releasing it too early and then supporting it as it goes. Let's just wait for them to finish working on the game. Then Obsidian Entertainment is the third, or even fourth, depending on how you're counting these. It's the next big team, probably the biggest other than Playground Games in terms of the RPG caliber, right? These guys have got over 200 employees, right? They released the Outer Worlds. They've got multiple teams, a small team working on Grounded, right? And they also worked on the original Fallout Vegas, right? So even though Grounded is like when they showcased it at EXO 2019, this became the most trolled game on Twitter, right? But in 2020, we've seen it be on the cover of Game Informer. We've seen it have a whole lot of success with Steam sales, right? I think over 1 million players in the first week or so since it went into early access, right? And then people just can't stop talking about this game. They keep posting the bases that they're building and so on. So this is a small little game. About 13 employees worked on it, right? But the game that everybody is talking about now, considering Obsidian, is Avowed, right? This is the mature RPG that people wanted from the Xbox Game Studios, right? It shows promise. Of course, we've only seen very, very little footage. Some of it was rendered, perhaps towards the end, when the guy is holding a sword and is trying to run some spells. Then maybe there's some aliasing on the sword there to tell that maybe it's running in engine. But otherwise, this game is also years away. But that's the type of caliber people want from the Xbox Game Studios. A really large open world, something that will challenge the likes of Skyrim, the likes of Dragon Age, the likes of Fallout, IPs that will be played for years, that will be remembered, that can be compared against the best, right? So that's what we need from the Xbox Game Studios. But other than that, so Obsidian right now, so they're working on Outer Worlds, Grounded, as well as Avowed. But recently, Josh Sawyer, who is actually the video game designer / writer or director at Obsidian, when explaining his role, actually revealed that they are working on a new project, right? That he's heading a new project, a project that is not Avowed, right? So this is interesting to see because it looks like he's accidentally let out some news right there, right? That there's definitely another RPG that Obsidian is working on, probably another team. Because if we think about it, if Grounded took 13 employees and Obsidian has over 200 employees, right? There's definitely potential to have a lot of smaller teams, right? Ninja Theory with Hellblade had about 40 employees, right? 40 employees to work on Hellblade, the original Hellblade, or was that 20? Then Hellblade 2 has doubled, right? So 20 to 40 employees is, enough to create a Hellblade, right? An award-winning game, right? Now you can imagine if they've got 200 employees, they definitely have the capability to work on a whole lot of games. So one team working on Grounded, one team working on the Outer Worlds DLC, another one on Avowed, and this unannounced game. My hunch is that it's probably a smaller passion game, but overall I'm very, very impressed that Microsoft is definitely going to challenge the RPG side of things. So what do you guys think? Grounded, Avowed, Fable, right? InExile's an announced AAA RPG running in Unreal Engine 5, Wasteland, right? Avowed. What do you guys think of those games in terms of RPGs? Are you interested in seeing what they're going to work on? Do you think we can challenge Sony's first party games, right? As an Xbox gamer, how do you feel about this? So leave a comment below, leave a like if you found this interesting, share the video. Swishy out.